Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Iqbal Ismail addressing you on a topic that is close to my heart. I am using Khurram Hussein's article as a peg to express my views on the current political scenario. So first I will read Khurram's article. The background will be clear. The article is entitled to Power. It appeared on the 17th of May in Dawn. Here is the text of the article. Now I have heard everything. When the power situation hits the high water mark one more time, the government ruled out another one of its horse and cattle shows. Mark it, horse and cattle shows, complete with briefings from the ministry and proposals from bureaucracy. A 2-day long full court affair in the capital, in which ministers from petroleum and water, power and finance sat around a table in the presidency, concluded on Tuesday on a note probably none of them came prepared for. Unless the presidential spokesman, the Venerable Senator Faratullah Babar, has been more misquoted, it went something like this. They will set up a control room in Ministry of Water and Power, where they will be able to personally monitor the generation of electricity at power plants around the country, its transmission to the distribution companies, and those areas where load shedding is being carried out. And the best part, the control room would have its counterpart in the presidency, so the president himself will be able to see how much electricity is being produced, who is getting it and who is not. Don't bother asking what they will do with this information. Somebody there actually thinks that the distribution of electricity is something like the distribution of sacrificial meat amongst the poor. Give him some, that one over there. He's been waiting for a long time. No, not this one here. He's had some already and keeps coming back for more. That one over there, he's pushing and shoving too much. Tell him to stop, otherwise he will get now. It is the landlord's way of managing scarcity. If you think about it, if you want to understand how this government is going to manage the electricity crisis, just look at how irrigation water is managed and you will get the perfect metaphor. The large landowner will own the choicest land right next to the canal headworks. When water is released, he will take all that he needs and then some. What is left can flow downstream until it reaches the poor tailenders, who will then fight for the trickle that is left to them. Something very similar happens in the management of all public goods in the agricultural sector. Whenever wheat procurement gets underway, for instance, the big guy will get the red carpet treatment, while the little guy in the gets the bureaucratic run around at the procurement center. or the fertilizer, by distribution of imported fertilizer, which is entirely government owned, has been handed over to a couple of political families who decides who gets how much and who is left in the cold. In short, a privileged strata gets priority access to public goods owned by the government, and only when the needs of those connected to them have been met, will the rest of us get what's left. The big agreement to come out of the conference was that the burden of load shedding will be borne equitably by all the provinces. It's hard to claim that this commitment has been upheld. And before that, in October, another such full-day affair had ended with the commitment that there will be no more sacred cows in the metro bill recoveries. Between November and February, an effort of sorts was indeed launched to get outstanding bills recovered, during which a list was presented to the National Assembly of the big parties who had large electricity dues, a very long list consisting mostly of government offices. So this around did the assembled delegates of the meeting make any attempt to tally up their successes in the previous commitments? No. In fact, the question of aggressively going after defaulters didn't arrive at this time, nor did the question of determining and measuring provincial entitlements of electricity. In fact, the only thing the President's spokesman felt comfortable talking about after the meeting was the rather bizarre proposal from the President and Minister of Water Power to personally monitor the allocation of electricity around the country. What's clear is this: the government is no longer pretending to resolve issues in the power sector. At least the earlier such gathering raised some right noses afterwards. This time only the concrete suggestion to come out of the whole affair is one that expands the arbitrary authority and crucial power sector decisions. If the government is all that serious about its proposal to build a control room to monitor the generation and distribution of electricity across the country, we see real work take place, actually install a facility in the presidency, and we know beyond a shadow of doubt that politics has triumphed over philosophy or policy. The management of scarce public goods reveals a great deal about whether or not a given dispensation is capable of addressing the challenges facing the country. In some cases, growing scarcities prompt reforms that seek to increase supply and encourage judicial use of a dwindling public good. But in the case of Pakistan, scarcities of public goods have been managed by creating a steeply hierarchical entitlement regime, then using these hierarchies to trade royalties for excess. Now it looks increasingly as if this is what the government is moving to entrench in the power sector, a hierarchical entitlement regime rather than reform that aim to increase efficiencies and promote investment. Okay. Now that Khurram Hussain has explained in detail the style of governance of the ruling coalition and what the people of Pakistan can expect from these people hungry for power, we need not hold our breath trying to find explanations for our exclusion from decision making. Because under the surface something is cooking and it is ugly. I do not know whether the people can take this much longer. It is sheer nonsense that Rahman Malik proposes to spend more money to overcome the crisis. Does he not know that the IMF will not permit it? IMF is not Zardari land where the president loyal to his friends can defend Malik. And there is the Prime Minister admitting that he has difficulty in preparing the budget. So now we know why the NATO supply will cost so much more. It is not about ethics or abridged sovereignty. It is about extracting as much as possible to finance 5 more years of profligate administration. And observe now, the President wants the Coalition Support Fund to dish out $1 billion and more to finance his re-election in his budget. What should the people of Pakistan do? I ask. My answer is, they must not fall for this gimmick. They must realize they have been taken for a ride too many times by the ruling coalition. They must, for use the power of the vote to disengage the ruling coalition of the politics of loot and plunder. It is a pity that the opposition is Nawaz Sharif group. It is no better. They have a lot of explanation to do about loot and plunder. Nawaz Sharif's flat and property in London and elsewhere are the mirror image of Zardari's Surrey place. And what are we to say about Rahman Malik's property? The people of Pakistan have to reclaim Jinnah's Pakistan. Put these people out of power. You would not have a second chance. How shall we do it? The people of Pakistan support the PTI, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, and want him to redeem Jinnah's legacy. Support Imran Khan and join this tsunami. What was Jinnah's vision? How do we define it? I present for your edification, for our guidance. Some thoughts, absorb them, and you will understand what Jinnah stood for. The more you have, the more you are hounded. The more you have, the more you have to defend. And you will have no time for appreciation and joy. The Bible. While more and more diverts you until you go to the tomb, the Quran. Vying for more and more diverts you until you go to the tomb, the Quran. I have sons, I have wealth. The fool suffers thinking thus. Even oneself is not one's own. How then the son? How then the wealth? Buddha. Property is the greatest cause of human trouble. Seneca. A man builds a fine house, and now he is a master and a task for life. He is to furnish, watch, show it, and keep it in repair for the rest of his days. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Few rich men own their property. The property owns them. Robert Ingersoll. If I am what I have, and that is lost, who am I? Henry Fromm. These quotations from sources which command the greatest respect. They are the essence of the wisdom of Jinnah, who was a man of God, who distributed all that he learned. He had no use for worldly wealth. Thank you very much for listening so patiently.